And welcome back. This week we are getting pessimistic, talking about why your guild in Magic sucks, and we're also drafting the top tone setters of Magic. I'm Levi.
I'm Jacoby.
And I'm Joe.
And this is the Thought Vessel Show. Let's jump right in. It is a random Saturday in June at 12:49 p.m. What better time to have self-reflection?
I mean, this says it's 2:59.
Congratulations, it's wrong.
That has never been correct.
I know, but it's not 3 o'clock.
Are you just like a random person that's just like, well, this particular clock I own is saying it's this time?
Yeah.
You're the type of guy
And then
to walk out of work an hour and a half early, and when they go, "What are you doing?" you just point at your watch as you're walking out.
Gotta go.
Yeah, my watch that I never wear.
Yeah,
I gotta go.
I gotta go. It's beer 30.
That'd be better. Just like hold up your wrist and just start poking.
I gotta go. Chaos awaits.
And everyone's got to plan their schedules around you because, like, what time zone is Joe on right now?
Which is funny because I actually do people's schedules at work.
He goes off the fucking Philippines.
It would be hilarious if there was a place of business that just the appeal is that they have to go by random time zones.
That'd be awful. What are you
Oh
talking
my
about?
God.
But it'd be like somewhere casual, not somewhere like a straight. Like they show up and it's like, "Hey, we operate on the Philippines," and they've got a set 8 to 5. It's just where that 8 to 5 is
Be like
funny.
a pop-up restaurant in the worst way.
I mean, that is technically how some of my work does. If you go into a different state, you would still be working your hours because we are an East Coast-based company.
So would you work the East Coast time or when you're saying working your hours?
So if I said, like, move to Texas, like I tried to do previously with my company, I was still working third shift at the time. So instead of working my 12 to 8, I worked 11 to 7 because that's Central Time. It makes a modicum of sense, actually.
And sometimes, I guess it depends when you're talking to clients effectively. So that makes sense. Like, I guess, like my fiance's work is mostly like kind of data driven. So she's had people that have like coworkers that have been like in Serbia and stuff, and they'll just be on like random times. It's a little hard to communicate that way, but it is what it is.
And to like the same vein, I run a bunch of online communities where I have people in Australia, I've got people in China, and I have to organize like all their times with my times. So organizing like work or just events in general with different time zones, there's complexity to it, but once you figure it out, it's not that bad.
But yeah, we pointed out my flaws. So like, hey, have we done any self-reflection yet today?
I've done some self-reflection
Today. Okay.
today.
What you got?
Earlier today, we had some struggles. We were getting food together, and I wasn't really thinking about the fact that I was talking out loud my thoughts. Levi and Joe were both looking at me like, "Why are you talking, Jacob?" And it's like, "Oh, sorry, I'm just thinking out loud." The realization, like, without enough caffeine, I need to just...
Hold on. The context of, like, why are you talking, Jacob? Like, we're like, we don't allow you to speak. Who allows you to speak in public?
Shut
and
the
not
fuck
less
up,
to
Jacoby.
podcast.
The full sentence was, I was saying my inner thoughts out loud.
Yeah, and then you just cut right to, why are you speaking, Jacob? Which is a different thought process entirely.
Because when I spoke, it was like completely random and not gonna. No one was speaking to me, and I'm just talking.
Yeah, so why wouldn't it be like, what are you saying, Jacob, instead?
We were going to accommodate for you. I was like, we need to find a way to know if this is like a Jacob thought or a sharing thought.
You guys took this way more offensively than it was intended. Y'all are like, whoa, why the hit piece? I'm just saying.
It was a little bit of a hit piece.
It really wasn't. It's okay to tell people to shut up, man.
Wasn't like a hit piece, but it was like, I'm going to flick you in the nose piece. Like, it was like a little bit of a sting.
I mean,
ow.
Act like we just lock you in the freezer until we need you every other week.
I mean, don't you though?
No. What are you talking about?
But
Like immediate no.
says Joe, the man who won't come and visit more than once every few weeks.
I gotta do things.
That's fair.
I'm busy.
Yeah, so am I. So I mean, whatever.
Yeah, adulting sucks. We all got stuff going on.
My self-reflection is that I adult too much. I need to stop doing that. I need to veg. Incorrect. I lapse in between having too much to do and then too little to do. It's a problem with ADHD.
I think for me, it's kind of a similar thing where after, like, because I spent probably from my sophomore year of high school until my end of college career. So probably 7 straight years trying to win a national championship or do something big in throwing. So you have this like giant culminating event. Everything I did for like 7 years was like, is this going to help me get to my goal? Yes or no? If the answer was no, I didn't do it. Period. I was like one of the most disciplined people you know to get to that particular point. I got there. And normally, like when you're imagining things and visualizing things, like it's kind of a roll credits moment and like things are done. But life moves on. Kind of adapting from it and like deciding what to do next is a very, very strange thing to deal with. For me, I constantly go back and forth between like really wanting to push it and give it all in my career and wanting to kind of live a life of leisure and not have to worry about a lot of things. But the problem is when you go back and forth between the two, you're actively not doing either one.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's why a lot of people like to say that work-life balance is a myth. You're usually just stuck in a mindset, is how that is.
And my legitimate self reflection is just I've spent so long of my life having to not express like my inner thoughts because of either not being able to communicate with people or all of the moving I did in my childhood to now transitioning to a place where I talk to my friends. I have legitimate people who either want to hear my thoughts or stop when I start to express those thoughts. So learning the balance of when to stop the thought or when enough of an expression is enough. You should only take so long to say like, yeah, I'm gonna have a good time, or that really upset me. It shouldn't be a whole rant. It should just be like, hey, didn't like that, or that was cool, and not this whole thing because I'm just so used to either all or nothing.
I know that a lot of my self-reflections usually come from things that have happened in my life and just learning a little bit more about ADHD as I get older, because there are certain things that people explain to me when I'm like looking online. It's like, oh, that makes a lot of sense in the context of ADHD. And a lot of that self-reflection has caused me to look at how I approach relationships, how I approach my job, why I'm able to do my job, because a lot of my self-reflection has built into mechanisms to work with my ADHD without medication. Because medication for ADHD, it's definitely worked for some people. It was not working for me, and it was way more intense than it was intended, because they had to give me extremely high doses of Adderall for my particular strain, which is really hard. It also has affected just like paying attention to timing events, because a lot of ADHD has just time sinks. You get hyper focused on the thing and then suddenly it's 5 hours later.
Done that?
Yeah. So that has incorporated making sure that I set alarms for literally everything so that I have something that snaps me out of it, regardless of if it's going to piss me off or not. That's what's got me to walk more. It's what's got me to focus a little bit more on recording scripts for my outside of IT work, because I used to just have the notifications on my phone to remind me, because if it's there physically to remind me, it's not going to be a process in my brain that I have to worry about. Or just the fact that with relationships, a lot of times I could just forget to message people. I do that a lot. Unless that person is in front of me, I will forget to talk to them. It's just one of the things that is a thing with me. Sometimes a particular item will remind me and be like, oh, I know that person actually likes that, because that person still is in my brain, but unless I am sparked to remember them, I won't.
I've had to take a lot of time to understand that other people feel a lot of emotions and that those things are not going to have to be my priority. Like I used to prioritize other people's problems and feelings and emotions over my own all the time, to the point of almost pointlessness, because that's the only way I could show care. And in the now later years, the more recent years, I've had a lot of friends who have pushed me to be like, probably should look after yourself on this one, bud. Trying to give myself the care I try to give all the other people around me. And I still struggle with that balance because it frustrates me. And then I get frustrated with my friends. And then it makes me the kind of person I don't want to be half the time. But it's a struggle.
The whole can't draw water from an empty well.
Yeah. But it's important, because sometimes just caring for yourself is important. Because if you haven't developed the systems to care for yourself, it becomes incredibly hard to give yourself to another person to help care for them. It's one of those difficult situations where a lot of people need to develop those. And some people get them in childhood, some people get them later in life. Eventually, being able to not be dependent on other people for your emotional needs is still good, because sad part of life is that not everybody gets to be around every time, whether that be older loved ones that pass on because they have old age, like my grandma, whether that be relationships lost.
Or just drifting apart. Sometimes this kind of stuff happens. And we've had friends that went AWOL for months and then, we kind of reconcile. But like, if you don't hear from somebody for months on end, life moves on. It's kind of like when you go off to college and come back to your hometown, you have a mental image in your head of like what everyone is and what everyone's doing. And then you come in like, oh, I missed a couple episodes of this show. Like everyone's kind of adapted and moved on a bit.
Yeah, imagine a few people missing a few episodes of the Thought Special show, and then they come back to this.
Yeah.
we got real. We got real fast.
But I think that's part of the enjoyment of, for instance, this. We're going to always try to be real. And as we grow, hopefully you grow with us.
Back to pessimism.
Yeah. Look, putting your soul out there for people, they're going to like it. They're going to hate it. It doesn't matter. As long as you are being genuine, which is exactly what we're doing right now, is being genuine. We are explaining to people our life experiences and what we had to do for like self-reflection.
Yeah. At the end of the day, no matter how bad our opinion is, we are just generically human.
And they're really bad.
Oh, yeah.
Casual sucks.
This week, we're taking a look at each of the guilds of Ravnica, all the 2-color combinations, and we're taking the more pessimistic side. Next time, we're going to talk about the optimistic side of things. We're just going to talk about each color and, for whatever reason, why we don't like it. And spoilers ahead, we're going to have a bad thing for every single one of these colors. So if you're personally offended by one particular take on your favorite 2-color combination, get in line with everybody else.
Man, is it Storm? Suck.
Yeah, your favorite color combo? Bad. My favorite color combo?
Also bad.
His favorite color combo? Worse. How? Don't know.
Let's see. Looking down this list, mid.
It's like those people that just, I feel like, just listen and like follow Magic the Gathering just to have things to bitch about.
Because not everybody is. There are just some people that revel in bitching. It's those people that you will see. You're just like, why do I talk to you? You never have anything positive to say. Or just they only catch the ones that they're negative, such as what happens with the professor in Pleasant Kenobi. Because literally, that's one of their biggest gripes, is that everybody says that they're just so negative about the game that they keep presenting.
I think it's important to have criticism. Like if you're just like the happy-go-lucky, everything is great all the time, then I'm not going to believe you.
Everything is awesome.
Like there's no way everything's like that great at all times.
The answer is nuanced. It's not you're down on it all the time or you're up on it all the time. You are going to have nuanced discussions.
Nah, mid.
Right. So we're going to jump in with our first one here. And the first one we're going to look at is Selesnya, a.k.a. green and white.
All right, Selesnya, listen to me. Your spells, whack. Your creatures, whack. Your things, whack.
Why?
Because all they're doing is just saying, look at me. I make big dudes. No, they don't have any keywords. Why do you care that it's a generic 10/10? Why don't your spells do anything cool?
All Selesnya players know is play creature, play enchantment, and lie.
For me, it's so weird because like when you look at the top 5-6 commanders of EDH Rec of this particular type, the most popular ones, you have at number 2, Kindred, Cats, Humans, Token Maker, Karametra randomly, Glunch randomly.
Karametra and Glunch are not random in Selesnya. Those are actually very popular commanders.
Oh, look at that.
Above like Riss and Lathiel?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Look at that. It's all just creatures and all just tokens, and it's all generic things with no
don't forget.
keywords.
Don't forget, ramp, Karametra, every time you play a creature, go get a land.
Ooh.
Remember when Karametra was just like the go-to Enchantress commander? Because we didn't have one? Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Pepperidge Farm does remember.
But in the top one, it's so weird because like the top Selesnya commander being Sithis is just so opposite to the rest of the top.
That's because Sithis is strong Enchantress. And that's why I'm saying Selesnya players only know how to do play creature, play enchantment, and lie. And if you don't get that, all hot girls know is eat hot chip and lie.
All they want to do is come and see you make some creatures. And that's literally their jam.
But it's a lot of just building and building and building and then protecting my board because board wipes real bad for Selesnya. Or you have something like a Captain Sisay deck that's just tapping to find a legend that is more than likely going to either be stacks or building and building and building and building.
Basically, Selesnya knows only creature and enchantment. They can't do other thing.
Like I said at the beginning, oh, look at me. I don't know what an instant or a sorcery is. I just like creature. My creature big.
Yeah. But for me,
Or enchantment.
I just think that Selesnya as a whole is just a little bit too proactive for me, where it's just trying to move forward with their game plan. They're not really caring a whole lot about what other people are doing. They're just like, I'm going to build a board bigger than you, and I'm going to prove it on the battlefield.
I mean, it is the Brian Kibler method. If I'm going to stop and be reactive to you all the time, then I am not advancing and I'm not going to win.
My 10-10. My 10-10 big. I make duplicate of 10-10. Eldrazi Gober.
Put it this way, or, it's building, whether it's building on enchantment triggers, building with plus encounters, or just building a board. Like, it's all building up, and you can get blown out really quick.
Actually, Karametra Eldrazi sounds fun.
Yeah, I bet it does.
Or you just don't.
Yeah.
Nah, Karametra Eldrazi.
Go for it. All right, next one on our list is the Glorious Azorius. So Azorius in blue and white.
Man, why don't you want to have fun?
Why do you hate spells?
It's not spells. They love spells.
No,
Their
they
own.
They hate spells. Just they're like, hey.
No, they
why?
hate fun. They see somebody like, I want to play a big creature. And they're just like, no on the stack, or I see that you have that creature on the field. I couldn't counter it. Back to your hand.
Or they're just like, hey, so I know you really, really like these cool things, but hear me out. You forgot to pay your income tax. So now I'm going to come repo all of your creatures.
And that's how it goes. Like me being an Azorius player, I'm trying to actively build decks that are more proactive with their strategy. That is so hard to do in Azorius because all of the commanders, with the exception of, I think, probably Shorakai at the top, it's either going to be like Millicent, where it's a spirit deck that it's just built for you for the most part. Brago, which is kind of his own unique thing. Hilda's up there right now, and that's going to be, for the most part, you're making tokens, but you're trying to stun people down. Like, you're trying to just lock out the board in its entirety and win.
I remember talking about the 4-card combo of Hilda with Intruder Alarm, a mana dork, and a recurring targetable creature to tap one of your opponent's creatures down, just to make a big board of 4/4s.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's very strong, but the problem with that deck is that you are so focused on stopping everyone else that it's really hard to do anything else. So you almost have to get to the point that you're putting 3 opponents into submission. Then you can go for the win. Unless you're playing at like a much higher power level where you have a combo to go off of, or doing Shorakai Polymorph or Brago with your Strider Resonator and stuff.
Yeah, all I'm saying is, if I wanted to pay taxes, I would just go back to work.
Generally think that the criticism of Azorius is that they just don't like fun. They like accounting.
I don't think it's a matter of fun. I think it's a matter of they're just too reactive. It's not my game plan that's going to run the ship. It's I'm stopping your game plan.
Accounting. I didn't say it was numbers. I said they're accounting. And they're accounting on their other players.
All I want to do is get to play with you, but you said no. You said no.
You're really caught up on that song today.
I am. Next one on the chopping block.
Chop, chop, chop.
Next one is going to be the one that drags on for so long because it's Simic.
When are you going to get a win condition?
When are you going to do anything original?
I wonder if it's Wizards knowing on how strong this guild is, so they don't give them a lot of like outs for win conditions. But the amount of value that you get, like everything they're doing is for the most part, draw land, draw card, play card.
We get it. You like green money and you like blue water. Get
Look,
out of my face.
it's
Look,
just
we
churning.
understand. We understand. You're a basic bitch. Get better.
I tested your islands. Your water system came up basic as hell.
Yeah, the fact that the new Simic commander finally gave you a kind of good win condition has been kind of a help in more casual meta.
Just why does everything you want to do and have to be based around your lands? You are the reason everyone thinks we need more land hate. And I couldn't agree with them more.
On the casual side, for sure. I mean, you have Kinnan in here as well. That's trying to do pretty much anything but lands. But the color in and of itself, your turns you're going to take are forever. And your board is being built up massively. Even at the point, if you can resolve a board right, because you are in blue, there are counter spells, you're going to be going against a player who's got a full grip and like 15 lands.
Yeah, and for the most part, it's not like they're storming off. A lot of the Simic is just, I'm going to keep taking game actions.
Because
Game
like
actions.
these lands are coming in untapped and you're getting extra value from just playing or doing literally anything.
Like playing Simic is just saying, I have the bigger boner because I have 10 lands to your 3 and 17 cards to your 7. Look at me go. And they go, okay, well, what else are you going to do? And they just sweat heavily.
The other issue is that if you look at a Simic game plan, it's deja vu. I've just been in this place before. As they keep taking the same turn.
Over and over and over and over and over.
Oh, look at that. Shocker. What's your turn 2? Oh, Nature's Lore. Oh, cool. Yeah. Oh, what's that? Your turn 3? Oh, it's 3 visits. Who would have guessed?
It's not even that. It's literally just, oh, hey, I'm just going to play this Eternal
Witness.
Witness.
Draw a card, play a land, draw a card.
Or play this Eternal Witness. Get this card back. Play the card to flicker the Eternal Witness. Get that card back and just do that ad nauseum.
Or they
That's a
sit
black
there
card.
and they're like, hey, so I know you
Listen
thought...
here.
I know you thought one giant flying spaghetti monster was cool, but how about 2 more or 3 more? Because that's the only answer I have is more spaghetti.
That is true. Simic is very good at clones. However, you're also in Simic. What you're cloning is just going to be doing more of the same thing. So like just not having an out to just mercy kill the rest of the table can be very frustrating. The most popular win conditions you can possibly get in Simic right now. 1, you have Kinnan with Basalt Monolith. That's more seen in CDH, not a whole lot in casual. Number 2, with AC, you're talking like a Crater Hoof Behemoth after making a bunch of plant tokens off of Avengers Zendikar. Number 3, you're playing a bunch of actions to draw your deck and do a Thassa's Oracle. Or 4, you're doing something like Edric and you're just taking extra turns until you can murder the table. None of these are particularly fun or exciting, but it's the only outs they have. It's just perpetually getting to a point that the machine is so efficient it runs itself.
I'm looking straight at you with this middle finger, biovisionary player.
Levi, didn't
The
know that you were
only
the
one.
biovisionary player.
That was pointed that way. It just looks like it was at Levi. I guess it's at the laptop, really, but
You particularly over the internet.
yeah,
Oh.
the only biovisionary player out there because there's only one of you.
So moving on to our next guild here, we have Boros.
Must be nice to, do nothing and have the worst board state while having the most interesting creatures.
How's that aggro working out for you?
How's those spells that only do 3 damage and then you run out of hand going, bud? You finally bolted all the creatures?
Oh, I see. You've chosen a CDH commander to be aggro, Winota player.
Oh man, you gained 3 life and did 3 damage. So original. It's like it's not built into almost half of the cards in your fucking category.
Oh, look, a Miku Feather Commander. How big's your body pillow?
Seriously.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, what's that? You got double strike.
we're coming-
Who would have guessed?
We're gonna get okay. That might actually be the hottest take. Is just attacking the Miku. Like, leave Miku out of this. We don't want that smoke.
No.
Now, as it stands, Feather, aka Miku, is the second most popular Boros commander at 8,863.
Yeah, that's because
Winota is number 1 at 9,062. We're about to see a Weeb undertaking, and that's going to shoot to the top.
But that's also because Feather has done something much different than what Boros has normally done, which is provide card advantage.
Yeah, but at the same time, like,
It's real sad that the main reason why Winota and Feather are popular is because they just provide card advantage.
it's almost like the only thing Boros is entirely good at is just doing things and then hoping to have some gas. Oh, wait, the commander that makes you have gas is like the only commander worth playing. Oh,
Well,
gee.
Inherently, the problem with the color pair is you have this color pair that normally in like 60 card formats is I'm going to come at you fast and hard, and I'm going to try to kill you before my card disadvantage takes me out of this game. So they're like, okay, cool. We need to fix this. Red, you're going to get some impulse draw. White, you're going to get some catch-up draw. Those don't work together.
No.
Red's trying to be fast, explosive, out the gate, do whatever you can, impulse. I might be able to cast a spell or might not. White is, I need to be playing from behind to get back in this. These are two very, very inherently different strategies, and they just simply don't synergize together very well to the point that most of these decks are either really aggressive, like hyper aggressive, or it's like a Voltron commander, and you're getting a little bit of extra artifact synergy in there to kind of get you by.
And especially in a lot of the older Boros commanders, where they were very much single target and not good for multiplayer.
All of the Boros decks have something that 90% of the time you have a card in your deck that says something gets double strike, whether it's an equipment, just a thing with double strike, or a spell that just gives double strike because that's just your only flavor win. Your only flavor win. Or or vigilance.
The only other thing is that they also are like a predominant artifact deck, but not a good one.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to be wanting artifacts, like, it's going to be a lot better for you, even mono red or mono blue. Like, white doesn't bring you a whole lot of artifact synergy.
I disagree. White actually is very prominent in artifact synergy, but more white and blue, because blue actually cares about the artifacts the most.
I would say that color combination is glorious.
I understand.
Mhm.
Go f yourself.
All right, well, speaking of taxes, next one up is Orzhov, aka White Black.
Please stop reminding me every time I do something.
My guy, we don't have any more creatures. Stop asking us every time we want to look at a card on the field. I played a land, not a creature. Get your murder boner out of my face.
Orzhov is kind of like when you go to like a coffee shop and they've got the kiosk and you go put the money in the kiosk to pay for your coffee that's already like $6 or $7 and then ask you if you want to tip, and then like the employee is kind of staring at you. Like, you haven't interacted with them at all. Like, you have done nothing, but like you feel bad not tipping them, but like, I walked into the store myself and I also used the kiosk myself, and now I'm going to tip 20%. That's Orzhov. Like, they are constantly putting you in that strain. Like, oh, you cast a spell, take a life. Oh, you played a creature, take a life. Oh, you tried to destroy one of my things, I'm going to gain 2 life.
Look, I understand. The IRS denied your application. Stop taking it out on the rest of us.
If you want to sit here and tell me I don't want you to play cards and creatures and artifacts, and you just want to stab all my cards, just go ahead and rip them in half in front of me, bud.
So we can say for the most part, Orzhov, game plan's nice, but there's just so many triggers that you constantly have to remind the table that at some point they're going to get fed up and kill you.
Eventually, I'm going to get annoyed when you whip out that 7th removal spell and just keep looking at me funny. I don't care anymore.
The only problem is when you get frustrated enough to swing at them and like take them out, that's when Ink Shield comes out.
It's just more removal. Or Teferi's protection. It's just, hey, punch me? No. Oh, have creature? No. Oh, deal damage? No.
Oh, I see that you played creatures. Sad that they are coming in tapped. I bet you wanted to do something with them immediately, didn't you?
Oh, what's that? You played creatures? How long do you think those creatures exist?
Grave Pact. Such a pain.
Next one up, going from the sophisticated but triggering Orzhov to Gruul Smash.
I'm gonna speak to you slowly. I understand that you want to smash. Maybe there's something else you could do.
You couldn't tell your graveyard from your library if I labeled the things.
It's absolutely disgusting, the amount of cards in this commander set that are just punch, 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 damage, punch, punch. Randomly make bananas that punch. And we're going to make this fun little mana creature thing that everyone's using for Eldrazi tokens now because of EDH Retcast. It's all it is. Like, it's very, very one-dimensional. It can be a lot of fun. They have brought in treasure tokens a little bit, which has helped out with kind of additional ramp things to get out big, scarier things. But at the end of the day, it is so straightforward and transparent that any kind of deviation from the strategy is going to just absolutely get them turned over.
That's why, like, the new Itali was a godsend, because you could just do the food chain. The same thing with, like, Roxanne.
Roxanne.
Yeah,
Roxanne.
because you could do food chain the same way and just kill everybody with meteors.
But this is the only player that looks at the Orzhov player that we just complained about and went, you know what? I genuinely don't give a shit. And they just do it themselves.
At the end of the day, Gruul is kind of that one-trick murder pony.
Yeah.
That's just what it's going to do. It's very straightforward. It can be hard to find the removal for the deck to kind of flesh that out, just because you get Beast Within and Chaos Warp, and then you have stuff that's like really specific. But It does perform. It is fun in casual pods. It's not a whole lot of denial. It's just I'm going to do things to you faster.
Because you're turning your brain off for the strategy. The strategy is extremely straightforward.
Although the only credit I will give you where credit is due, you are the best color combination for Goyfs, and I love those creature types.
That is fair. Speaking of Goyfs, next up, Golgari.
Another graveyard deck. Very original, aren't we?
Hey, you could also do squirrels and elves.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man, yeah.
So much of a deviation.
You are
Or spiders.
You are the literal basic white girl going to Starbucks.
That also has a goth issue.
You're the one coming in the all black t-shirt. It says mommy on the front, and you wear giant plastic ears because that's so original. Like
Not earrings,
all the
ears.
rest of them.
We also talk a lot about this one having removal everywhere for creatures.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. There's a creature on the field. Whether it's theirs or mine, it's gonna die.
You don't know what the difference between tapping a creature for mana or a land for mana.
It's a very frustrating combination to play against, too, because they want to make the game go as long as possible because their graveyard is their hand. So the longer it goes, the more cards are going to have it compared to you, and they're going to win over that advantage. So playing against someone when you're just trying to naturally progress the game and just everything you play dies. And at some point, you're going to be in top deck mode unless you were fortunate enough to get some kind of draw engine going. It can be absolutely miserable to go against. And quite frankly, when you look at the top commanders, Lathril, Chatterfang, Marin, Shalab, Dina, these aren't particularly inspiring or creative commanders.
No.
These are just kind of straightforward. I'm going to do the everything is going to die thing, or I'm going to win through tokens.
Well, yeah, it's also just like how Joey from the EDH Recast recently talked about Shalab and how they designed it as a spider kindred commander. But that's not what it was. It was a fight commander.
They only know how to do two things: make too much mana and then figure it out with murder, or too much murder and then figure it out with mana later.
Oh, what's that? Graveyard? Perfect.
Perfect.
That's the way it is. That's kind of Golgari in a nutshell. There isn't a whole lot of deviation. Like, there are some players who absolutely love this. I'm going to recur everything all the time, make people sacrifice stuff, and just kind of try to win through that attrition over time. But for everyone else, it can be a really miserable experience to go against.
Let's not forget about the deterministic outcome that is Gitrog Monster.
I remember that old CEDH deck.
There are still peoples that run it, but it's not a lot.
They're trying. And that's a weird deck because, like, it's still technically in the CDH realm, but if you bring it to a casual pod, that's way too strong. There's nowhere for it to go.
Oh man, I love my Jared and I love my Lord of Extinction. Oh, how fun it is to just be like, and all of you are dead.
It sounds like we just need to revive the conversation about pre-DH build decks before it became a popular format.
Indeed. All right, next one on the queue.
Yep. So this one is the one where we're going to be just copying and copying and copying and copying and copying because it's Izzet.
I did not know that you loved Solitaire so much that you forced 3 other players to watch you play it.
I wish you knew where this was going because I know you don't.
This is the guy that gives the soliloquy about the poor performance and speed of production at a fast food restaurant for Taco Bell. Like, this is why this isn't a successful company because they don't have anyone working, blah, 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 blah. And they just talk and talk and talk and talk and no one cares. And it's only thing that Izzet is doing for the most part, outside of a couple niche commanders. But when you look at the top ones, you have Garrison Stern, which is kind of a ping commander, kind of a unique one where we don't have a lot of commanders that are doing that at this point. Niv Mizzet, which is combo on a stick. Varen, Voice of Duality, which is just getting additional triggers for casting instant and sorceries that are just going to go combo off into oblivion. Joyra Cheerios. You have the coin flip deck, which I think is disproportionately added because of all the Secret Lair precons that people bought and tweaked a little bit. The Locust God, which is, again, combo on a stick. Brutaclad combo on a stick. Mizzet Storm on a stick. Ovika, Storm / combos on a stick. And then you got Stella Lee coming up and also Karak Shima.
Yeah, Stella Lee. They put that as a precon and it should not have been a precon.
I think it was a very fun precon. Like I've played a couple times because I bought it wanting to just give Storm a little bit of a try. It's enjoyable. However, that card is extremely busted and is starting to place in CEDH tournaments by itself. Just cast 3 spells, and then you get one of the 10 different cards that combo off with Stella to draw a card to untap and just go for it. It's absolutely bonkers.
Hi, I'm gonna twiddle.
The main problem with this strategy is that everything you're doing takes a ton of time in game actions. So it is very consistently that you're going to have in a 40-minute game, like a 5-minute, 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 25 minutes worth of time equity. And that's in like a kind of a quicker commander game. Like no one wants to sit there and just watch you take 10, 15, 20-minute turns every single time.
The other issue is that a lot of those storms are deterministic. That's why it has to go that way, because they have to play it out. I'm sorry, Jacob. Your wizards are very deterministic. The fact that you were given 6 extra turns
Sir?
and couldn't get there.
Sir,
I would just
excuse
kill you
you.
out of principle.
7. I won that game. But that
Oh.
was long after the 7 turns.
Well, yeah, but you still get an extra 7 draws of the land drops.
Actually,
oh no, there was also Thrasios
I was gonna
activations
say,
in
no,
between that too.
The
Yeah.
twiddle was a bunch of Thrasios triggers.
Yeah, after the 6 turns, there was 3 more rotations of the table.
That's just so long though. Like that's miserable.
Well, it wasn't too long, thankfully, because each of those turns was just like tap all my mana, bunch of Thrasios triggers. But like, still, it's just, oh, what are you gonna do? I'm gonna figure it out, take some turns, get some cards, do some triggers, do some stuff.
You could benefit from more instant and sorcery tutors in that deck, I swear to God.
I don't think there would have been a way to get there because it just would have twiddled more.
But with that as well, like my most painful experience playing a game did come from an Is the Storm deck in which an entire charity auction happened between these 2 turns.
I think you talked about that on the podcast.
Miserable. Absolutely miserable. It's not because they're doing anything like super broken. It's just a matter of it takes so long for it to be done that we could have gotten a whole other game in.
The issue is that they're playing solitaire in a deterministic fashion where they sometimes just don't get there. It's in the same issue with Gitrog.
So yeah, it is effectively a time suck. It is literally wasting everyone's time. Next one up is the number 1 winner on our poll for favorite color combinations, Dimir.
Oh, I see. You wanted the value, didn't you? That's the only reason that you're here.
You forgot blockers was an actual thought process.
All you know is combo, lie, and eat hot chip.
If everyone discards 1 card, you technically drew a card. Girl math.
Girl
if I
math.
play this creature and we all lose a creature, girl math.
Thassa's demonic consultation win?
In casual,
Yes.
every time.
You would be surprised how many times I have seen a Dimir deck just do it. Like, this is a casual pod. Why are you running CDH combos?
Oh, Yuriko is so cool. I love ninjas. Why is that Eldrazi flipping off the top?
You are the only freaking person here who can't live without all of their tutors.
You always have the opinion of that 4-drop tutors are always bad. Why run them?
But I think the main problem I have with Dimir, and like we even talked about this on or off the show here, that Dimir was the number 1 ranked favorite color combination. I don't see Dimir decks.
Yeah, because
Rarely ever.
like I said, it's Dimir plus, because usually they want to have the other colors funnel in to do something else. But like the prominent Dimir decks that I've seen have been like Yuriko, the Fairies Precon, someone did the Lord of the Nazgul.
The most prominent one I've actually seen, I haven't seen really any of those. It's the Captain.
Captain
Ningathrod. Captain Ningathrod. Always a bunch of horrors. All you want to do is weird tribal stuff and take other people's stuff. Imagine that. And you want a tutor.
But you have milling, which is not really that viable of a strategy in a game in which you have 3 opponents and they all have 99 cards in their deck. And you have zombies, but also we have mono black zombies and Esper zombies, and even we have some Orzhov zombies now, where it's not as necessary. But all these commanders, like Yuriko is more of a CDH commander. Wilhelt is fine. I think people just have her the color combination because Scarab God's also in the top 5. You have Everything is a Ninja. You have Captain Netherrod, and then you have some like Lord of the Rings fan stuff. These are not super inspiring commanders to build around.
For the most part, a lot of just pure Dimir is just control. A lot of it has just been control. I'm going to say that creature dies. I'm going to counter that spell. I'm going to do this, that, and the other. And I understand how to play this against 3 different opponents. I'm going to make sure I get my value. I'm going to control how this game goes. And my commander is going to help me with it. And it's not going to even be that quote unquote scary.
For both of you, apologies in advance, because as soon as Bloomburrow comes out, that Great Night Owl is going to be printed as a card. And that art is gorgeous. And the way it looks, I could put money on it. That is going to be a Dimir commander. I don't care what it does. It's an owl. I'm making it. But if it wants to be the most miserable controlling bastard on the board, it's going to be the most miserable controlling bastard on the board.
Joke's on you. It's actually just going to be in your color combination and be Azorius and still control.
A black and blue owl in Azorius, I'd still play it. It'd be great.
Speaking of Loomburrow, I can't wait to make as many legendary equipment as I can. Flicker the Boros mouse.
Make them bunnies. But with that being said, that is Dimir. Next one on our list, and our final one, Rakdos.
Oh, I see. Another scam deck, right? Or, oh, no. What was I thinking? You're just gonna do some chaos shenanigans to also make us sack every creature that we have.
Get it? You like to flay skin and peel back all of the layers. We don't have to get that deep. Your dudes can ping me for damage, and you can do damage and make your things cheaper. It's fine.
Oh, you had such sights to show me? No, go f yourself.
You're the only one out here who does what was I thought interesting, but tried to give Death Touch to instants twice.
Yeah. But we're not going to talk about how we wanted to do a Bloodthirst Commander in Rakdos.
No.
Rakdos Lord of Riots. I understand we said we're going to be a fast game, but not like this.
So, yeah. Rakdos Eldrazi.
Oh, look, it's Prosper again.
Mr. Steal Your Deck.
Every time. And if it's not Prosper, it's Obnixless. Oh, look, Rowan with Torment of Hailfire for the 15th time.
Or a Crackle with Power. Sometimes they like to change it up.
Every time. But with this, you have all these very unique commanders, but they're all kind of doing the same thing. It's either treasures and value or straight damage. Like, that's kind of what we have going on. Or you have treasure and damage with Jury Master of the Review.
I'm gonna do some
I
damage.
have never seen a Jury Master of the Review deck.
Never?
Never.
I mean,
I have put
I've
it
seen a
into
few.
decks. I have never seen a deck for it.
I've seen it a couple times now. Sacrifice a lot of treasures, get it built up, and then you fling it, kill one person, kill the second.
I've never seen that.
Oh.
100. I'm keeping it with you honest. I've never seen that deck.
We got to get you out more.
I play with more people online than you guys.
We got to get you in the real world. Touch some grass.
Yeah.
No.
Now to the one and single Carter player, you are the only person doing anything remotely interesting.
Flicker it.
It's hard to do. I tried.
Carter,
Yeah, that's why I told you to build Prismatic Bridge, Carter.
Like, Carter's great, but at the same time, also in casual environments, taking away people's autonomy to, make their decisions can be frustrating as well. But with that being said, that is all 10 guilds and why they are trash. We're going to move on to our draft. This week, we are drafting Tone Setters. So these are cards not necessarily powerful, but whenever they come into play or they're put on the stack, they're going to change the vibe of the game, whether that's for good or bad or neutral. So looking at the order here, Joe, you are first on the order. Jacoby going second. I've got third and fourth, wrapping back through 4 rounds as always. Joe, you are on the clock.
So the one card that I know that changes a feel of a game immediately.
Just going to type it in.
Mana Crypt.
Really? Okay.
Mana Crypt. Every single time someone sees that and they're like, oh, this is the kind of game we're having. Because it is worse than a Soul Ring on turn 1. Because you have 3 mana available to you to do Degeneracy with. Even if it gets Lightning Bolt every turn, you have just essentially gotten yourself way farther ahead than anybody. Because you could be like, well, I'll play this dual land that comes in untapped. I'm going to play a Mana Dork, and then I'm going to tap the Mana Crypt for a Signet or something, or even a Soul Ring, and just have all of this mana ready for the next turn. And especially if the commander that you're playing already has some card draw on it, it didn't matter that you only ramped.
Yeah, sure. Turn 1 cultivate's cool. I get you.
That's definitely the only saving grace with stuff like that is if you have something that goes turn 1, Soul Ring, Signet, they're down to 4, 5 cards in hand at that point. So hopefully the rest of the table can use their extra resources to maybe have an answer for whatever's coming out. But it is a tough spot to be in for sure.
Card number 1 choice for me is Cormispell. So
Second overall.
card that says all swamps are now 1/1s. The moment I see that hit the field, there's only one of 2 things happening. The first is there's already an Elishnorn in play and an Orberg. The second thing is oh no, I have to kill it before there's an Elishnorn or an Orborg.
Yep, it can be pretty damning there. I think it's the second draft in a row you've had a Corma spell.
That is in fact
is.
correct.
Because that's a tone setter. Like the moment you see it, there's only so many things you're doing with it.
I think the next one for me is this is where people go from being just spellcasters to professional Magic the Gathering critics. That is Ristic Study.
The one that you thought I was going to choose one of one?
Absolutely. I thought that was one. I thought it made too much sense to be not the 101. But
No, Mana Crypt, always 101.
But do you pay the one? But Ristic Study, every time anyone casts a spell, are they going to pay the one? It puts you in a weird spot because you want to continue to pay. But if you have one player that's just like, I'm just going to see if I can out advantage, or they just don't care, that puts you in a really weird spot where do I set myself back personally, or do I let this person kind of get all the advantage? So, and it can really make some animosity at the table. It's like, well, we're paying the one every time. You're casting like 3 spells per turn. We're slowing ourselves down. Like this is super irresponsible. So it definitely can change the vibe of a game when Ristic Study comes in, because now you almost have to work together. Like, okay, you need to pay your taxes. I don't care what you're doing, unless it kills the Ristic Study. Slow down a little bit.
And the person that could be arguing for their benefit is that I'm an aggro deck. What else am I going to do? I can't just not play things.
But I understand. But like if you can, you probably should, even if it slows you down by a turn. It gets in a weird spot where like I have the exact mana to cast my commander and I need my commander in play. Then like, yeah, you're probably not going to pay. Next one on my list, have a long option here to look at. I think the next one is kind of the mutually assured destruction, Nev's Disc. So Nev's Disc comes into play. It's tapped, so you have 1 rotation to deal with it. And then at any given time, whoever controls the Nev's Disc can pay 1 mana, tap it, and blow up the world. So any artifact, enchantment, creatures, gone.
Yeah, especially if they're playing a Planeswalker deck.
It puts everyone in a really weird spot because it's, do I play out more stuff to risk it actually going into the graveyard and then just being out these cards? Do I play nothing and let the person with the Nev's Disc advance their board? So everyone almost has to like play nothing and just pressure the life total of the Nev's Disc guy to make them use this card. It changes the whole vibe of the game into being, I need the Nev's Disc gone, and everyone's on the same page. Or you need to make sure that they don't get to like a Darksteel mutation and have all their artifacts indestructible so they can perpetually do that. So Nev's Disc, I think, as far as a tone setter is concerned, definitely in the top of my list. Jacoby, you're up.
Next here on my list, I'm going to keep it on with the heavy hitters and hit with the light stuff afterwards. We're going to go with Tabernacle.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely a game changer.
The moment I see Tabernacle, I go from, oh, yeah, this is a fun, and then I see it, I go, oh, no.
Considering how old that card is, what does Tabernacle of Pendreville do?
So it's a land that does not tap for mana. However, it does have the nice little key phrase that says, all of your creatures has an upkeep cost of 1, or they die.
Well, all of everyone's creatures.
Every creature.
It's a stack piece that doesn't remove itself. We do have the Magus of the Tabernacle, which is the 4 mana, has the same effect, but it's a creature itself, so you have to pay for it. But yeah, that is a definite card. Well, I think the main issue I have with Tabernacle is, as of recording,
it's still expensive.
It's like
4,000.
Hold up. I'm gonna guess.
Okay.
Guess. It's $4,799.
Looks like at this moment we're seeing it around 3,500.
Wow, it went down.
So
well, with that one set where they put in like the Legends cards that was a Tabernacle.
So we have that, and then we have some that are graded that are up around 7K. But if I see a Tabernacle in your deck, I'm knowing like there is no budget.
Mm-hmm.
There is no, there could be literally any card in the game. Like there's no restriction. I am immediately assuming you're playing at a higher power level than what I have thought before this.
Yeah, we go from, yeah, we could do this in Two-Headed Giant, and then we see it and we go, oh no, we need to kill that guy right now.
Yeah.
Right now.
All right, Joe.
The next one, I actually think turns it into a lighter-hearted game, and that's Descent into Avernus.
Descent to Avernus. What does that do?
So it's a 2 and a red enchantment that says on your upkeep, you put 2 descent counters onto it. Everybody gets that amount of treasures and takes that amount of damage. There has seldom been a table in which that has played where I have heard nothing but, yeah, I love that card. Just completely like, oh yeah, it's this kind of game. We're going to have fun.
Or it's going to be over real quick.
I mean, that too, but it's one of those, instead of, oh no, it's, oh yeah, the Kool-Aid Man's here.
But it is definitely a good vibe card for sure. Descent of Avernus, and it speeds up games. And I'm always for games kind of coming to natural conclusion versus drawing out too long.
And in a same strain, there is one of the cards that is near and dear to my heart, Howling Mine. Once you see that, people are just like, oh yeah, we're gonna actually be able to play the game instead of have to worry about, all right, am I gonna make this, that, or the other? There's been seldom a time in which playing a Howling Mine in any deck outside of Group Hug, because people are sus of Group Hug. I understand being a Group Hug player, but outside of that, if people see the Howling Mine, they're generally accepting of it, and usually will make sure that nobody messes with you too hard.
Jacoby, you're up.
The one I'm going to go with is very obvious one. On the same vein that where you had it is a Smothering Tithe.
Okay.
Definitely a game changer.
The moment that hits the field, I sweat just a little bit every single time. But it's not like oh God, the game's going to be over. It's like oh no, I have to make sure I do stuff.
It's definitely a card you want to make sure you're proactive with. I think it's less like not paying for Smothering Tithe. I think is a lot more common because it's 2 per card you draw versus a Ristic Study is paying, like anyone can pay the 1. So I think there's less like social pressure on the other players, but it is definitely a card when it comes into play. You need to make sure someone can get rid of it. That card will single-handedly cause the most conversations. Like, okay, who has got something that can remove it? Let's figure this out. What do you want to remove it?
Seriously.
How do we stab this particular piece of cardboard?
And it is back to me. A couple cards I'm looking at, kind of different options I can go with. I'm going to pick Wheel of Misfortune. So Wheel of Misfortune in particular, instead of a normal wheel, is in a later in a game when everyone's in top decking mode, it is a chance for everyone to kind of refill their hand and still be able to do things. The amount of times I cast Wheel of Misfortune, they're like, oh, thank God. Like, I can actually do stuff now.
I've only really seen people be like, oh God, it's that card.
Well, it can be confusing for sure, but just if you don't want to wheel, put up a 0.
But even then, somebody could sandbag and hurt you alongside that. It's really weird.
For sure. It can definitely be a complicated card, but like a wheel and having everyone go back up to 7, I think is a very, very solid thing to be able to do. And it can definitely help out a game that's going to kind of go along and stagnant to, okay, we all have our cards again. We can kind of continue to move forward with this game. And then it does give people the options to not do that. So I think it's a great card. Next up for me, because I am going last, is I'm going to pick a card that was recently unbanned, and that is Worldfire. So Worldfire says, your hands, out of here. Your board state, out of here. Your life total, out of here, except 1. Good luck.
Your cards, whack.
Another card that's been in 2 drafts in the past 2.
Your cards, whack. Your stuff, whack. Your life total, whack. Me, I'm dank as fuck.
For a Commander game to happen, like it's like, okay, great. We're going to be in this situation. We can possibly pull ahead and get the win here. But it turns everything from just strategy and tactics to just who can top deck into a 1-drop creature at some point and murder everybody.
The craziness of the tone that's changed is game ending.
It turns the game from casual to the highest of stakes. Anyone can win at any instant. I think even if, like, in a Worldfire, the Chandra emblem would be a fantastic win condition of just Worldfire, then on your next upkeep, everyone just dies.
Yeah, because the Chandra emblem does not go away with that one.
Yep, can't be removed.
Can't be killed.
I think at some point, if we can get a card that would remove an emblem, I think that'd be interesting. We have no way to interact with them whatsoever. So I think at some point, like make it expensive, like a 5-drop or something. And that, like maybe like a module so you could possibly play it.
But even then, emblems aren't emblematic of the format.
But I mean, I think just having
nobody laughed at that, gal.
It was a mid
fun. It was funny.
It's mid funny.
Rude.
All right. Jacoby, you're up.
Alrighty. For the last one on my list, we're going to go with a very hilarious meme. We're going to go with the weird tapped garbage lands that have like no real effects. They're just like, I'm going to enter tapped. I tap for more than a color. That's it.
Absolutely. This is on my list.
Or I guess what you would... No. I'm sorry. I'm wording this wrong. It's those weird lands. You have to tap a mana, tap it, 2 specific colors. What are those called?
Signet lands.
Signet lands. Specifically signet lands. You can't tap them for anything. You only get to tap into them to make 2 mana.
Yeah, like
they have no colorless. the moment I see that versus like any other land, I'm like, either this is a precon or you don't realize that doesn't tap for mana.
I mean, I like the signet lands personally. But just it depends on how color dependent your deck is, because getting one of each can be helpful. But definitely the tap lands, because if I'm going into a game and I've got my deck ready to roll and I'm going in, and then I see you're playing like precon land base, I might like have to scale back my play actions to not blow you out of the water.
Just hit them with the salt marsh.
I have, in fact, watched a player play the green red one turn 1, and I was like, oh no.
And I think it's almost like a code. Like sometimes if I see like a guild gate or like a if you'd say like Golgari deck and it's a Golgari guild gate, I'm like, okay, oh, looks like there was a Golgari guild gate played. And everyone else like, hey, this guy's basically playing a precon. Maybe don't murder his face.
Unless they come in and said, hey, I'm playing gates, then murder their face.
Yeah. Granted, if I see like 2 or 3 gates, I'm like, oh, okay, we can kill you. It's fine. But
we can kill you. This is a mercy killing.
But yeah, I think just in general, the tap lands is a good way to tell kind of where someone is. If someone at some point plays some tap lands and then has like basically a CDH deck underneath it to like sneak in wins, funny, you're getting away with that once. But Joe, you got the last pick here. Let's go ahead and close this out.
So obviously, if you were talking about a tone-setting card that warrants discussion, because you usually don't play this in just regular casual decks, Basalt Monolith.
Well, yeah.
If you are running Basalt Monolith, you are usually not playing that in a casual deck. You are using that in a deck in which you are either increasing the mana it gives you or reducing the cost to untap it to go infinite.
Or you just really need to get your commander out by like turn 4 or whatever, and it's like
or
a
you play it and everyone gets really like, oh no, and then you just sit there and you're just using it like a generic rock, and it's like, do you?
It has been in some precons.
Do you not know?
Usually it's like a Derevi precon where you can untap it other ways. But
yeah, but the issue becomes it's still one of those pieces. In fact, you are using to combo in some way with it.
Absolutely. Well, that is our draft. So Joe, you had Mana Crap.
Mana Crap.
Mana Crap.
You know what? Keep it. Descent to Avernus, Howling Mine, and Basalt Monolith. Jacoby for the second draft in a row, Korma Spell, Tabernacle, Pendrell Vale, Smothering Tide, and Garbage Lands. So even with the Garbage Lands, the most expensive list of all 4 of us, Ristic Study, Nev's Disc, The Wheel of Misfortune, and Worldfire rounds up mine. That is all the time we have. Does anyone have any final comments before we let the nice people go?
I mean, there's also Mystic Remora, Bazaar of Baghdad, Ancient Tomb.
Yeah, absolutely. We might need to do a part 2 of this at some point.
I will put the Korma Spell in every draft.
But don't.
Well, you'll be losing the drafts. All right. Well, this is the Thought Vessel Show. Y'all have a fantastic week.
Take care.
Bye.